Shake, 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 Sinora, shake it all the time.
When you add a shake of Frank's Red Hot, you open a world of better. A world where wings bring out the flavor of game day any day. Where buffalo chicken dip takes any party up a notch. And where any slice of pizza instantly becomes the world's best slice of pizza. At least until the next slice. Bring every bite to life with the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that shit on everything.
92% of households that join Peloton early in the year are still active a year later.
Yeah, if you like cycling to EDM.
Not just EDM. Try cycling to Broadway hits, take a scenic hike in Iceland on our treadmill, or row to some 80s jams.
Because I have so much free time.
Whether you have 30 minutes or just 5, Peloton can fit any schedule. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton tread, row, or bikes risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
What's the best part of a Dunkin' Run? The coffee? Is it the coffee or the $1 donut or $2 stuffed bagel minis or $3 sausage, egg, and cheese that you can add to it? The answer, of course, is yes. Time for a Dunkin' Run. $3 offer available on sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich only. Excludes specialty donuts and fancies. Offer valid on medium or larger coffee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Guys, welcome to the Bird Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today we are rerouting the GPS, the emotional GPS, the mental GPS. We're taking care of that because what I've noticed for me recently is there seems to be my thoughts and feelings going in so many directions. And I feel like, my GPS keeps rerouting. There's a lot of things going on in between that. So we're going to talk about that. All right. So if you're in your car, wear your seatbelt. If you're home, just go along for the ride anyway. Yeah. If you're in your car, go along for the ride too. That was the perfect setup and I missed it. But yes, stay tuned. Y'all was good. How are you? First of all, before I get started, I want to shout out our new patron, Miss Nikita Rosser. Thank you for being a patron supporter. Thank you for pouring into this bird and helping build the nest. I hope that your stay here is an amazing time, and there's so much you take from this. And let you know that your support is just as much appreciated. All right. So I want you guys to think about something. You're driving down the road, right? Who's in the car? What's your gas level at? Like right now in your life, you don't necessarily have to think about the ideal situation. You can just think about a real situation. Where are you right now? Right? What's the time left on the GPS? Who's in the car with you? Are you alone? If you are alone, who would you think to call right now if your car broke down and you needed help? Not necessarily to come fix the car, but even just to kind of like talk you through it. Like, who do you think in your life you feel the most supported by? What are your thoughts while you're in this car, right? How are you feeling? This whole time you're in the car, what does the car look like? How long have you had the car? Like, think about all these things. And how many times has the GPS rerouted you? Or do you just feel lost at this point and you're kind of like in a panic? So that's like a metaphor for life / analogy. I always get confused between the two. But, lately I've been in this space of feeling like I need to reroute my GPS. in a lot of ways. Because in some instances, it feels like I'm just driving in circles, right? Or not even driving in circles, feeling as if, my GPS keeps recalculating. And, my destination in itself keeps getting, reconfigured. Or my destination in some of my relationships seems like it might not happen, and I have to recalculate. Maybe I just go back home. Maybe I, drive to a new destination instead. Maybe I have to make some stops along the way. It's all at this point up in the air, and my GPS keeps losing signal, right? And the reason why my GPS keeps losing signal is because I am in a, let's call it a bad area in terms of network connectivity. And a bad area could just be like, a lot of things to think about, stressors, whatever, reshifting. Again, we talk about boundaries, but also just fatigue, So when you think about the car concept, right? Someone a few years ago, they told me that they would call me while they were driving home because they knew I'd be up and they were tired and they would just get home. Like they knew that they could talk to me and they were able to get home because I kept them up. And that meant a lot. That is like one of the best things to hear and know. And then I've been thinking, I'm like, this journey I'm on, right? Who am I able to call to keep me up? Who calls me, but who am I able to call to keep me up? Like who is actually on this ride with me versus just like along for their ride until they need to get off, right? All these things are something to consider, even in terms of like your career and your life. What's happening right now? Do you feel like you're on a clear path, or do you feel like your GPS keeps needing to reroute, because the connection isn't that strong? What exactly is going on? Are you being mindful of what's popping up in your world right now in terms of just life, right? Just life and what needs to be worked through. And I've been thinking about this recently because there's just so much, happening, I think, collectively, but also like individually. And, I think about how much, how much I have been trying to be the driving force in a lot of things for a lot of people, and still feeling as if, this road I'm taking is a solo journey, or it feels like that, right? It feels like that for one reason or another. And knowing that it's okay to kind of like reroute yourself, reroute your GPS, do what you need to do, just to be at peace, because right now you're just driving and you're waiting for your GPS to reroute, recalibrate, and it's not happening. And the more it keeps trying to reconfigure, the further down this road you seem to go, and it doesn't seem like this road is good for you, right? And I mean that emotionally, mentally, like when you start having, dark thoughts, right? When you start having moments of stress and uncertainty, do you keep driving down that road, or do you try to take a right somewhere just to get out of it? And it's okay. Like there's no right or wrong answer in this moment, but it's just important to understand, when you're in the car of your life, are you driving with purpose, and how you respond when you are kind of taken off course. When you're in territory that you don't know or you don't like to be in, like how do you handle it and how do you feel? because I was going to talk about something completely different today, but I had so many thoughts this week, so many internal experiences, but also outward experiences, and it just caused me, as always, to evaluate some things, to examine some things, examine, what I've been feeling in certain relationships, what I've been feeling in certain endeavors, how I've been feeling overall, what's mine, what's not. And just like really, really taking a moment to understand what exactly is going on. What's my GPS looking like? And do I feel like I'm on the right path? Or does it feel as if I am just driving in circles, waiting for my GPS to recalculate or, reroute me? And it's sometimes it may feel like you missed a turn, but that isn't always necessarily true. And sometimes you do miss a turn. Reroute. Right? Reroute. How can you get back on track? Like, how can you do that? Some things to think about how you can do that. And I'll actually, if you're a patron, I thought about like the practical steps that may be necessary to reroute yourself while you're on this journey. And I'm gonna definitely talk about those. So if you're not a Patreon supporter, become a Patreon supporter. You get dibs to the bonus content, the bonus episode, where I break it down, because I think this is it's more to it, right? It's more to it. And like I said, I think when you're on this journey of life, at some point in time, you can feel like you need to reroute. You see things differently, or your initial destination, you probably don't even want to go there anymore. Right? All these things can happen at once. And, while you are in a bad connection and you're waiting for your phone to get back on a network, a lot of things are happening. You're getting frustrated, right? You're probably regretting going back. You feel like you're burning more gas as you go down this road of fucking despair. There's a lot that's coming up for you, right? And it's all just you waiting for your GPS to reroute. And, your emotional GPS, it's like when things come up, that's an indication that that's a certain turn to look at or take. You feel like you're not being supported, reroute, right? You feel like you're not being heard, reroute. Okay. You feel like you are doing something wrong, or you could be doing something different to reach your goals, reroute. You feel like you're starting to spiral in terms of your intrusive thoughts, reroute. You can go home. You can always go home. You can always turn around. Or you can stop showing up as much as you used to. When your GPS starts navigating you, or you put a certain destination into your GPS, it's important to look at that destination, right? Where are you going? Or are you just in your car driving? Like, where are you actually going? What was your plan when you got there, right? I hope this all makes sense. I definitely hope it makes sense, because it's an important thing, I think, to think about, because that's where I've been. There's a ton I've been processing and thinking of in terms of like just what this journey has been lately, and what it looks like moving forward, and how it's important for me to reroute. Reroute in a lot of ways, for a lot of things, for a lot of reasons. Just because I realized that, my fuel tank is low. Gas prices have gone up. They've gone up. So now, with that, there's now more of a necessity for me to be very mindful of, where I'm going. Am I going the extra mile for people that aren't meet me in the middle? Like, what all of this looks like, literally and figuratively. How far am I willing to go for the things that are important to me? You know, what happens when I feel like I get off course? Like, all of these things are in my head lately. And now I'm just rerouting, you know, and it may take a while for the GPS to get back online, but, you know, sometimes you could pull over too. If you feel safe enough, pull over, right? Pull over. Give yourself a minute, you know, stop showing up. You know, stop burning your gas and, you know, going nowhere. Be more mindful of where your time is going. Be more mindful of you know, where you're going and where you keep showing up to. Like, all of these things are important. Be more mindful of what your aspirations are, right? And just because you miss a turn or you feel like you miss a turn doesn't mean you can't get back on track. Like, all of these things are important to understand. So, yeah, keeping it short and sweet today. Just think about that. Think about your emotional GPS. Think about what it's pointing you to. And think about what needs your attention. And lean into it. And just remember, you could always turn back around. You can always turn back around. And that's okay. Right? You could always pull over to the side. And that's okay. And, you know, when it comes to the people, the way I think about it is like, you should not have to go through this long ass list of people in your life before you're like, yeah, this person I can rely on. Because ask yourself, what's the benefit of those other relationships that you're cultivating and keeping? That's how I think about it lately. It's like, well, fortunately, I think at this point, I can say I'm a little bit better about it, but it's like, at some point in time, you know, we have to take stock of that. You know all these people, but what does that do for you? All right. So, yeah, just something to think about in terms of your GPS. You know, think about your life. Think about where you're headed. Think about what you're leaving. Yeah, just think about your destination and who's along for the ride, you know, who's in the car with you. And if you were to break down right now, who would you call? You know, who do you think would help? You know, who do you think would talk to you on the phone until you got to your destination? Who do you think would pick up the actual phone? Right? Think about all these things, because a lot of times when it comes to the frustration of what we're feeling, in a lot of ways, it just means that there's an imbalance somewhere. Our GPS is rerouting because something's off. We've gone down the wrong road. So something to consider. All right. So, yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I hope you take a moment to think about that. Really take a moment to think about that. Thank you guys for rating the podcast. If you haven't, yeah, rate the podcast. The link is in the bio of this show, wherever you're listening to, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. You can rate there. And if you want to become a Patreon supporter, the link is also in the show description. The description of this episode. Patrons get early access to these episodes. They get ad-free listening. They get bonus episodes. And more perks to come. I'm still like building this thing, but so far it's been great. It's been great. And like I said, the people that are just supporting, it means a lot. So that's it, and that's all. I hope you guys have an amazing week. All right. I hope you guys take a moment to think about what your life is right now and where you're headed and who's coming along with you. All right. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. All right. Take flight.